Fallout New Vegas isn't typically a religious game, unless you go to Utah.
We can't expect God to do all the work.
Which got me thinking about certain religions and their representation in-game. Christianity, Mormonism, whatever the fuck Caesar's Legion believes in, and I noticed a distinct lack of Jewish representation. So today, I plan to rectify that by asking one simple question. Can you beat Fallout New Vegas without breaking the laws of Judaism? I was birthed, and since one of Judaism's core principles is against murder and general violence, I chose the most peaceful and somber name I could think of. Argyle. In the aim to create the ideal gentleman befitting of the name Argyle, I ended up trying to recreate Benny from memory. Let me know how I did. I then assigned my special stats. 9 strength to represent the real Argyle in all of us, 5 perception, 5 endurance, which might have been a stupid choice, you'll see why, 1 charisma, 5 intelligence, and 10 luck for the crits and gambling. I'm not sure if Jewish people are allowed to gamble, however, I do know Jewish people are capable of getting critical hits, so luck isn't a complete dump stat. Then I picked my skills and traits. There wasn't really anything that interesting, and I tried to be as diplomatic as possible. Then proceeded to choose unarmed because I think it would be hilarious to use Krav Maga this playthrough. And it's on brand, so you can't even get mad. Upon picking traits, I was very tempted to pick a modded trait, Born Bad, but Judaism has been ridiculed enough lately, and besides, I don't feel like going missing. So I settled on Bloody Mess and Built to Destroy because I plan on using my fists as much as possible. And before leaving the doc's house, I had to battle every urge in my body not to rob him blind. No Nut November? More like no stealing September. But hey, don't worry. Benjamin Netanyahu smiled upon me as I thwarted temptation yet again. Upon leaving that old fuck's house, I paid my respects to the goat. Now, since Goodsprings has nothing of value left for me and I have a lot of holding the W key ahead of me, now's as good a time as any to elaborate on just what following the laws of Judaism in Fallout New Vegas even entails. Now, the Jewish faith, unlike Christianity, follows 613 commandments, also known as the mitzvot, and since there's over 600 laws, I'm not going to go into every single one in detail. However, I am going to generalize them based on what they represent. For example, a lot of them pertain to God and his role in your life, so as long as I'm as holy as I usually am, I should be fine. Some are more applicable to playthroughs, however, such as number 16, which is to reprove wrongdoers, and number 32, not to turn a city to idolatry. And some of them will be difficult, to say the least. So to make things easier and save you about 30 minutes, I'm going to give a broad list of general things that I can't do in this playthrough. I can't eat most food items as most of them aren't kosher. I can't be idolized by a faction. I can't work with Caesar. Actually, Judaism might be saying I need to kill him. I can't not donate to the poor. I can't bring harm to domesticated animals. I can't steal, but you can't expect that one. I can't rob people. I can't murder unless it's righteous. I can't let an innocent person die and have to help. I can't insult people. I can't do harmful drugs. And that includes stim packs because they're made from blood packs, meaning that they aren't kosher. I can't buy slaves. Literally 1984. And lastly, I can't panic or retreat during battle. And spoiler warning for later, that one gets me killed. A lot. So yeah, this is gonna be more than just a simple playthrough. I entered Prim and got jumped by some hooligans, which made me realize just how hard it is to be Jewish firsthand, as not being able to heal from most sources and not running away means death most of the time and me breaking shit the other half of the time. Needless to say, I died a few times, but that's only because I was insistent on using unarmed. As powerful as Krav Maga might be, it really has nothing on a grenade launcher. I then spoke with the Big Nash, and unfortunately, Deputy Beagle went and got himself captured like the big idiot he is. And according to the mitzvah, it's my neighborly duty to go and save him. During the rescue, I realized I was playing on hard mode. Yeah, no. A wise man once said, "The difficulty of the challenge comes from the challenge, not the in-game difficulty." And don't be confused, this didn't change much. By no stretch of the imagination was this an easy rescue. I ended at a sliver of HP. Only because of my immense skill. I survived because the skill inside me far exceeded the skill being shot into me. And miraculously, 0 deaths and broken keyboards later, I rescued the big dumb idiot, who didn't really seem to need rescuing, but I don't know, I'll go fuck myself then. He told me to go to Nipton, so I obliged. And on the way, I faced all sorts of interesting fellows. Convicts, certain death, and even the illustrious Bad Bill, who's from a mod. Upon entering Nipton, I almost reached my breaking point with this challenge when I wasn't allowed to separate Oliver Swaynick's head from the rest of his body. God! He was the only one who ever got away. I then had my first, but definitely not last run-in with Caesar's Legion. Don't worry, viewers, you will still get your statutory 5 seconds of Vulpus Goon time, even if I'm not siding with the Legion. I figured I'd spread word of the Legion's atrocities, both for the free experience, and because doing so would aid the New California Republic, who is one of the factions I am allowed to side with this playthrough. And the act doesn't really help Caesar's Legion in any way. On the way to the Mojave outpost, the no retreat rule came back and bit me in the ass big time, as I got noticed by a group of jackals who started tearing at my ass. This all changed when I pulled out the grenading tin. After baby's first religious genocide, I found one of the few consumables I can actually consume. Dirty water, as I'm pretty sure you're allowed to drink water. It'd be pretty silly if you couldn't. This game is so fucking beautiful. I love you, New Vegas. I arrived at Mojave Outpost fueled by pure post-nut clarity and finished 2 quests with 1 stone. And out of the corner of my eye, I noticed a girl. And it was just a hunch, but something told me she needed my help. Unfortunately, to do that, I need to go to the Crimson Caravan Company. So mitzvah or not, the bitches gotta wait. On the way to Novak, I encountered a traveling caravan who were about to get railed, Roman style, by the Legion. And unfortunately, I had to help. Nothing else meaningful happened, and next thing you know, I was in Novak. So I spoke to Manny Vargas, and by using the powers of homosexuality, he pointed me to my next objective. Fuck! Failing the challenge aside, Boulder City, this could be it. I would hate to get randomly sidetracked by some bullshit.
Well, they gotta go.
You gotta be fucking kidding me. So I started Come Fly With Me. If I haven't made it painfully obvious yet, the mitzvah dictates that I must help those in need. So this is why I keep getting sidetracked! Me starting this quest was made entirely worth it with how many hilarious kills I got on the feral ghouls inhabiting the rep contest site. I then found the reason for the ghouls, and as much as I wanted to paint the walls neon green, I'm walking the righteous path now. He needs my help. Their task for me was to clean out the basement of the RepCon building. And clean it out I did. I couldn't decide if I was moving like Jewish King Vaughn or Jewish John Wick. Safe to say, there were no survivors. I then spoke to the Big Bright, and he took me into the Giga basement, where contrary to popular belief, I wasn't molested, so I set off to find fuel for the hideous freaks. Now, just to clarify, I almost always skip this quest during my playthroughs, so I'm a bit unfamiliar with it. This is important for later. So when the quest marker pointed me towards Clark Field, I didn't bat an eye. He would come to regret those words. Now, Clark Field just so happens to be infested to the tit with golden geckos who, well, had their way with me. But who could blame them? I'm just a young, handsome boy with the world at his fingertips. I would have my way with myself if I could. I reloaded a save and made it to the marker, and I was quite literally greeted with a Brahmin's ass. I was lied to. The fuel wasn't here at all. So I reloaded a save, again and bought them from Cliff Briscoe. Okay, the thing is, I knew all along that I was supposed to see Cliff for them, but I thought maybe New Vegas updated or something since my last playthrough. It's not my fault. I then spoke to Old Lady Gibson for some reason, and there. Now, the journey continues. On the way, some merchants asked me for help in the form of being 30 seconds away from being fucked to death by some jackals, so I had to intervene. After a near mass extinction event for the Rad Scorpion community, I arrived at Boulder City and spoke to Jessup, who told me where the Ben man is hiding out. That's it! This ends! Right now! Well, shit. Now, the cons and NCR at Boulder City only need me to extinguish their confrontation. Sounds easy, right? Wrong. I lacked the speech skill to save the day. No. Is it Jover? No. So I went on the holiest of rampages, crusades, and killed every abomination I could find. Now, for some of you sticklers in the audience, you might think that this doesn't count as righteous killing. And if you disagree, then you can go fuck you. The laws of Judaism also justify murder as long as it's self-defense. After recreating the Matrix from memory, I leveled up and got my speech skill, albeit with the help of Cliff Briscoe, to the threshold to solve world peace. So now, we finish this. For real.
What in the goddamn...
I spoke to Benny, and lacking the right biology nor mods to fuck him, I settled on meeting him in his private suite. Oh no, he's not showing up. Huh, joke's on him. I just wanted subjects to test my Krav Maga ability on. And after pleasing myself with Krav Maga, the little bitch boy ran off to the fort. And before I was allowed to give chase, I found his sex bot, who spilled their whole evil, nefarious plan, and then asked me if I want in. The answer is yes. Yes, I do. However, this leaves us at an impasse yet again, as you see Yes Man has 3 tasks for us, and all of them are fine, except the killing Mr. House. Now, an argument could be made for killing him to be justified. However, in order to be our world's symbol of peace, much like Benjamin Netanyahu, I'm not really gonna push my luck. In the meantime, I can go to the fort and meet Caesar myself. At the fort, Big C tells me to go destroy the Securitron vault under the fort. However, I also have the option to restore power to them. Now, this is a tricky dilemma, through and through, as I had to ask myself, what would a true Jew do? And in my opinion, at least, based on how I've interpreted the Jewish commandments, that restoring power to the Securitrons is the morally right option, as it has the highest capacity to save human lives. Caesar was pleased with me regardless. However, I don't care what he thinks. I'm not even allowed to like him. After finishing up with Caesar's bullshit, on my way out of Cottonwood Cove, I noticed something that made my stomach churn. Benny. They crucified him. I had nothing to do with it. Welp, I have no choice but to go to war with them. I really, didn't want this to happen. Oh well. And besides, committing a mass genocide on Caesar's legion would be justified. Anyways, they ain't even the best of people, so it's not that bad. But don't worry, I'll be professional about it. After baby's second genocide, I went back to Yes Man, and since I don't have the planning to get around dealing with Mr. House yet, I decided to get to know the factions vying for Vegas, starting with the Boomers, who needed my help. At this point, every faction in Vegas might as well be a Make-A-Wish kid and I'm John Cena, because I have to help them. And since none of their tasks oppose the commandments, then I have no choice. Whether it be crushing pesky ants, helping two lovebirds, or going for a hearty swim, the Boomers need a true Jew. Yeah, long story short, we're buddy-buddy. Uh-oh. Okay, so the Boomers are a seemingly innocent tribe who keep to themselves. Judaism doesn't mind people like them. In fact, helping them would be encouraged. However, in order to complete the quest, I need to become idolized. And I cannot turn a civilization to idolatry. So what do I do? Which commandment has higher priority? Are cucumbers fruits or vegetables? Well, in the words of Robert Jebediah Freeman, I'll do what I can. I'll help in any way possible without making them worship me. And then tell Yes Man to ignore them, because a true Jew doesn't do things looking to be repaid. Next was the Brotherhood of Steel, who were an interesting bunch from a Jewish perspective, since the Brotherhood is a semi-religious organization, also known as a fanatic cult, and Judaism and fanatic cults don't mix very well, at least according to Deuteronomy 13. However, even if Judaism isn't a big fan of the Brotherhood, it doesn't automatically mean I need to wipe them off the face of the planet, since they aren't really hurting anyone, unlike the Legion who, let's be perfectly honest, were a threat to humanity as we know it. I would say that wiping out the Brotherhood is not the right thing to do. So yay, we ignore them. Well, actually no, because these bastards put a slave collar on me and made me do their dirty work. Typical. Use the handsome young boy for all your dirty work. I met up with Anders and warned him of his imminent doom, but just as we went back to his place for some fun, we were attacked, and in the midst of it, I heard someone get gooified. It was Anders. Oh well, he died for a good cause, because now I get to ignore the Brotherhood. Then it was the Great Khan's turn. This is fine. I spoke with Papa Khan, and Judaism is not a fan of these guys either. They murder people, steal, cook drugs, sell those drugs that they cook. Yeah, they aren't the best eggs. However, I can fix them. I've dealt with worse. Starting with putting an end to their drug dealing and convincing them to make stim packs. By doing this, I nudge them towards the path of redemption. Then, I can save Anders from the Legion, because being crucified isn't very fun. And lastly, I can fail to break the alliance that the Great Khans and Legion have. Although unfortunately, my aid to them ends now, because all of their other tasks are not PG-13 family-friendly clean no swears. I then visited the White Glove Society, and despite planning to immediately leave, a man caught my eye. His son went missing at the Ultralux, so Noodle God is on the case. After using my investigative ability, aka playing this quest countless times before, I found the spoiled little bitch, and we began our grand escape. Nothing could stop us. Well, except my own greed. Okay, there was some guy selling omelets that they were just too good to pass up. Do you know how hard it is to find kosher food? I fucking love this game. Father and son reunited. I figured it was about high time to fuck off. Next was the Gomorrah, and I knew just where to start. Okay, wait. I'm not actually hiring a hooker. That breaks the laws of Judaism. It's just all part of my plan. My elaborate plan to spread the word of Judaism, along with liberating her from her old life of sin. Yeah, it's not actually that cool. All I'm even doing is just going back and forth between the Gomorrah and Vault 21. It all culminated with a second great escape, except this time, we were stopped. But it was short-lived, and after this fast travel nightmare, I was gifted with a vital piece of information. The Omertas were planning a terrorist attack on the Strip. I then had to meet everybody's favorite little scamp turned gooner, Kachino, and I reached a bit of a Judaism-induced issue. Now, in order to progress the quest and get Kachino to help me, I have to blackmail him by pickpocketing. But here's the problem. I can't steal. Yeah. However, since one of Judaism's core principles is the preservation of life, I'll allow it. This time. After the little queef was willing to listen to reason, we got to scheming. He wanted to take over the company, and I wanted to be done with this fucking challenge. It's like he was reading my mind. Although, to do that, we're gonna have to tie up some loose ends. Starting with Troik, and through the powers of diplomacy, I got him to destroy the weapons that the Omertas were producing. Next was Clandon, who, I'm not gonna lie, took a bit of a tumble, and then I came back a few days later, only to find that Troik tattled on me, and now the boss wants to talk to me. It better not be about sexual harassment in the workplace again. I'm so sick of that talk. Oh, phew. They just want to kill me. That's a relief. Anyways, Kachino became the king, and I never have to see his balding exterior again. After finishing meeting all of the tribes of Vegas, I spoke to Yes Man again, who told me House still needs to die. However, this time, I have a plan. Alright, so remember that young, depressed, alcoholic girl at Mojave Outpost? She needs my help. So maybe if I scratch her back, she'll kill the most powerful figure in Vegas for me. Worth a shot. I started by working for the Crimson Caravan Company since that's what she told me to do. We then met up and began touring her sacked caravans looking for answers, only to find out that the Crimson Caravan and Van Graffs were responsible. Now, naturally, she wanted to eradicate them. However, something that I've learned in the past 20 or so minutes is that there's always a better way. Besides, the diplomacy path is much more suited for a Jewish playthrough, so we gathered evidence and took them down. Now, according to my calculations, theoretically speaking of course, she'll do anything I say, which hopefully includes eliminating an almost innocent old man. Now, the plan is simple. I get invited into his home like the blood-sucking leech I am, I piss him off until he aggroes on me, I open up his super secret basement, and then I sick Cass on him. Simple. Not even an idiot could fail it. Oh, god damn it. Okay, so I mean, yeah, technically I killed him, but also technically he was a tyrant, and it was still technically self-defense still, so theoretically speaking, technically it was justified. Anyways, after Yes Man got upgraded, he took me into the basement where he upgraded the Securitrons, yada yada. They don't really matter in this war when I'm present. Then, after the demonstration, Yes Man had one more task for me, which was installing the override chip at the El Dorito substation. Somewhere along the way I lost Cass. I'm sure she'll turn up soon. Nothing really notable happened. I did have a stare down with the Bighorner, and by the end of it, we were homies. We came to an understanding. I did the thing, and just as I was about to make my way back, I was greeted by an old enemy turned friend, turned enemy again. Rest easy, friend. And with that, the pieces have been set in motion, and we're ready for the Battle of Hoover Dam. Before that, though, Yes Man suggested that I make friends with the followers of the Apocalypse. And unlike pretty much every other post-war faction, I feel like Judaism would smile upon the followers. They asked me to help the homeless people sober up, and who was I to argue with a doctor? So, yeah. This was probably worth putting off the climax of the story. I arrived at Hoover Dam and immediately started tearing assholes up. The Centurions there must have been mourning the recently deceased Caesar because they were hitting unreasonably hard that day. Sometime during the Battle of Hoover Dam, Cass returned, and I just hadn't registered it until now. I took a brief break from tearing up assholes to install the override chip to basically enable Yes Man a godlike amount of power, which, in retrospect, might have been a mistake, but only time will tell. Yes Man very quickly proved that it was a mistake when one of his Securitrons launched 20 cc of missiles straight into my rectum, killing me. The Securitrons very quickly made it up for me by launching a Legionary into fucking orbit. I also learned where baby Securitrons come from. And next thing you know, I was in the Legate's camp. During my confrontation with the Legate, I decided to click speech checks like a pussy, because Judaism wouldn't want me to game end him. Not that I'd even be able to anyways. So being Jewish kinda pays off. I carefully curated my speech checks as to not anger the spirit of Judaism, as well as the giant behemoth in front of me who was easily able to disassemble me at the molecular level. He fucked off, and I beat Fallout New Vegas without breaking the laws of Judaism. Oh yeah, General Oliver pulled up, I guess. I initiated combat mainly because I kinda wanted to see if I could take them with like 10 HP. I very quickly learned I couldn't, And then I beat Fallout New Vegas without breaking the laws of Judaism. Huge thanks for making it to the end of the video. I learned a lot about Judaism that I would have just completely brushed off under different circumstances. And the laws of Judaism are surprisingly lenient in all of the right places, however, still adding a refreshing amount of challenge to the game. Hot take, but I honestly kinda feel like this is how New Vegas was meant to be played. You feel like a mysterious stranger of sorts, drifting from place to place on your lonesome to bring misfortune to your enemies while helping the weak. I highly suggest playing New Vegas as a Jew. It was a lot of fun. I know this is a bit different from what I normally post, so please share your thoughts in the comments about what you thought of the video. I put a lot more effort into this one than my normal slop, so I kinda need feedback. I do have more Can You Beats in mind too that frankly put this one to shame, so I just want to know if I should even continue. As always, God bless the Enclave. God bless America. Noodle God signing off.